This is John's House, a daily place for real conversation about Frederick. From the decisions that affect your neighborhood to the events, nonprofits, restaurants, and local leaders that make this community move. Local, regional, national, and always connected to home. Come on in. John's House starts now.
Myself on the screen. There I am. Hey. Again, part of the learning process. It is a process. You got to trust the process. That's what I keep being told. Like ever since I was little, trust the process. Well, I got to trust my own process here as I learn my way around Studio 401 with a hands-off producer today. She's going to be there just in case, just to keep me in line in case anything is needed. But thanks to Bella. And by the way, Bella and Nick have a new podcast coming up, which we'll be talking about in the next couple of days here on the Everything Frederick Live Network. I believe they're going to start tomorrow. And it's a show that 20-somethings should watch to find out cool things to do around Frederick. Is that pretty much the basis of the show? I'm getting the shaking head yes. So it's going to be pretty cool. You should check it out. I think they posted some information yesterday on all our social media. So definitely check it out and find out all the times and the details and all that good stuff as well. Plus other 15 podcasts or so on the Everything Frederick Live Network. If you'd like to have your own show, you have a subject, you're like, nobody's touching on that. Or maybe you'd like to become a guest on one of the shows, including John's House, which is right here, right now, or Good Morning Live. Good Morning Frederick Good Morning Frederick, which is live every Monday through Friday. And you can touch base with Danny. I can send the information to her if you send it to me. Pretty simple. Or if you'd like to become a sponsor, which more and more people are each and every day here on the Everything Frederick Live Network. And that is rockthewave13 at gmail.com if you are interested in, reaching out to me and saying, hey, I want to be part of one of these shows, or I'd like to have my own podcast. Or you know what? You guys are giving the message that I want my customers to see, and we'd love to have you on board. So again, rockthewave13 at gmail.com is that place that you can reach out to me directly. And plus any other questions you might have, it's super simple. Let's talk about some things that are going on around the region. And then a little bit later in the show, we're going to talk about the SNAP program and how there are many differences now in the program that are directly affecting people right here in Frederick. So the Frederick Zoning Board of Appeals yesterday, they took a couple of cases. One of them has been very heavily talked about, but some of the other ones, we're going to become a music town if this continues with tons of new places being allowed to start to play music. The Sandbox Brew House at 880 Northeast Street was approved for conditional use for indoor entertainment on Fridays and Saturdays until midnight, with the condition that they report back to the board in January to confirm there are no noise complaints or code violations. That seems to be the case in each one of these new venues, or maybe they're not new venues, but they're going to have music for the first time or changing the times that they have it. Members also approved the WAG Bar at 925 Northeast Street for 2 fenced outdoor areas where patrons can bring their dogs. You can have a beer and bring your dog right there at the same place. Because the play areas sit outside the building for the dogs, the city counts them as entertainment, which required a board approval. Now, that's a gray area, but okay. They got the board approval. The Banyan, that's the one that everybody's been talking about for the last month or so. The Banyan was approved for extended hours for entertainment at 216 East Patrick Street, right across the street from the post office. You've seen all the construction down there and the growth in that area and the big hole in the ground right now as more is going to be added to that area here over the next year or so. But the Banyan was approved for the extended hours for entertainment and rooftop entertainment. This case drew the most public comment in the section, mostly from neighbors concerned about noise from above. The board said the rooftop entertainment must end by 9 p.m. Sundays through Thursdays and 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. Indoor entertainment now can last until midnight with the condition of a January report on any noise or code violations or complaints. And then Lima Soul, one we hadn't heard much about. Lima Soul at 14 East Patrick Street was approved to have live music and DJ entertainment on weekend nights with Sunday entertainment ending by 10 p.m. So again, if you're looking for some new places to go see some music, there you have it. And I guess the word is now finalized, at least until January, for the issues that were going on with the Banyan right there across from the post office. So again, new opportunities to catch music. And, maybe these are new opportunities for local bands to have a place to play. That would be kind of cool too. I mean, DJs are cool, but, live music is pretty cooler when it comes to having a band who's playing different stuff. And again, little soapbox thing. Let's hope the bands don't play the same 20 songs over and over like our local terrestrial radio stations do. It'd be fun not to hear the song Old Time Rock and Roll every single time you have a rock cover band playing in a bar. It's a cool song, not that you want to hear it from every single band. There are more than 20 songs, bands. So how about, that doesn't mean you don't play any of them. If you want to play That's What I Like About You by the Romantics, that's cool. Okay. Not every band is playing it, but some do. If you want to play Old Time Rock and Roll, that's fine. But again, every band shouldn't be playing it. You should mix it up a little bit. And, every female singer shouldn't be singing Adele's Rolling in the Deep. That seems to be all the years that we had previous radio stations that I worked at had the same kind of voice contests or American Idol type contests with our radio station. Some of them were very successful, but every girl who wanted to prove herself would think she could sing Adele. And not every girl can sing Adele. Not every guy can sing John Mayer, or Eric Clapton. But, that's kind of how it was. So bands, come on, mix it up just a little bit, please. That would make more people, I think, come out and see you. Now, the rule of thumb for the bars and some of these band leaders are very simple. Oh, just give them what they want. Well, not everybody wants the same 20 songs. It gets a little boring after a while. And don't play Stairway to Heaven. Just don't. Okay? There you go. Let's see. What else is going on? The Frederick County School Board has now directed a calendar committee to look into starting the 28-29 school year during the last week in August, or even, as Larry Hogan wanted to do and did for a couple of years, after Labor Day. The plan would also include a shorter spring break if passed. Now, the after Labor Day thing it's actually pretty smart if you think about it, because a lot of summer businesses, especially, say, on the beach in Ocean City or places that do more business in the summer because more people come out versus snow days and things like that, they will use kids, not use in the disrespectful way, but have kids on their staff that are under 18 that would have to go back to high school. Now, the college kids, that's a different ballgame. But again, you can keep some of your interns longer if you're a professional sports team who uses interns to get through the summer and to teach them, different things about sports. Or, if you're a ice cream shop that isn't probably going to be open in the wintertime, it's nice to have those students be able to work and get paid for as long as they possibly can. And it's good for the students as well. And then, of course, time changes and other things come into play, not quite as far into the school year if those changes are made to go back to a Labor Day first day of school. Again, I don't think anybody has a major issue with shortening spring break if it gives them a longer summertime. I don't think anybody has an issue. Christmas break, it's nice when it's 2 weeks. It is a perfect break in the middle of the year. You can go see grandma if she lives on the West Coast, or, you can do some other things, take a little mini vacation during that time, because a lot of people also get off work in some businesses for, multiple days. Some businesses will shut down, not retail businesses, but, some office type businesses will allow their employees to take longer breaks, again, especially in the sports world, over Christmas. So they'll give you from maybe 2 days before Christmas until the day after the first day of the year, first business day of the year, and then you come back. So you get a little break, you come back refreshed and ready to rock and roll. Not a bad thing there at all. But again, Frederick County School Board directing the calendar committee to look into starting the 28-29 school year to at least the last week of August, or maybe after Labor Day. It would not extend the school year into the beginning of the summer any longer. So again, that's being looked at. That is not officially passed. It is something that is being looked into. All right, let's talk about Frederick Feud. That is coming up September 17th at Rockwell Brewery, brought to you by your friends at Ken's Transmission and Automotive. Of course, Total Car Care at kenstrans.com, and Middletown Valley Bank in downtown Frederick. It's going to be Soar against Andrea's House for $1,000, just $25 to get your ticket, and all that money goes to help. All the profits go to help nonprofit organizations around the region. And the winner, again, getting $1,000 after the first two rounds were very fun for everybody who came out. And again, even some of the places that didn't win ended up making money for their nonprofit organizations as well. And fans got to get up on the stage. People who had never gotten to be part of a game show got a little tiny taste of it as well. Weiser Productions and AJ and Danny running the show. The Good Morning Frederick crew keeping all the fun in place over at Rockwell Brewery. So stop on by there, too. It's going to be on September 17th. Again, Rockwell Brewery is the place. Get your tickets in advance for just $25. We're going to come back in just a couple minutes. We're going to talk about Maryland's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's the SNAP program, and how changes are affecting people right here in Frederick. I'm John Hunt, and this is John's House.
Hi, I'm Jerry Donald, Frederick County Council member, and I'm running for the Maryland House of Delegates. As a council member, I wrote the impact fee law to help build new schools and libraries, the riparian buffer law to make our streams and rivers cleaner. I sponsored a bill to allow farmers to sell directly to the public at farm stands, and I wrote the law that created the Frederick County Board of Health. I voted against the increases to your income and property taxes, and I voted against the expansion of the data center overlay. As a delegate, my focus is to bring your tax dollars back to Frederick County for roads, schools, and libraries. Paid for by Citizens for Jerry Donald, Cam Rayner, Treasurer. Nice.
Oh.
Frederick, if you're craving real Chicago-style flavor, Rosati's is bringing it. From their cheesy, loaded deep dish pizza to crispy tavern-style thin crust, every bite is packed with that classic Rosati's taste. And don't sleep on the steak and cheese sub. Hot, hearty, and seriously satisfying. Rosati's has been serving family recipes since 1964, and now you can get it right here in Frederick. Stop by 911 West 7th Street or order online at rosatispizza.com. Rosati's, keeping it real since 1964.
Cosmec Healing handcrafted small batch tinctures and transdermal salves, double third-party tested for quality you can trust. If you've got pain, headaches, or anxiety, our products are here to help you find relief. Patient over profits mindset, 'cause we're patients too. CosmecHealing.com.
All right, we are back and ready for the second half, if you will, in Studio 401 of John's House. It is Thursday, and man, the weekend is almost here already. This week is just flying by. I'm getting the opportunity to get out, shake hands and kiss babies, see a lot of different people around the area. And last night also went out to the Frederick Keys, and their crew, again, taking good care of us. Got a chance to see a number of veterinary places, vets, not veterans, but places that take care of dogs and kitties and birds and all that good stuff. And had some great visit with them because we have some cool things coming up that are going to be helping dogs and cats and other animals in the region. We'll tell you more about that as we get a little bit more closer to those events starting up. So let's talk about the Maryland SNAP program, Maryland's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It feeds more than 680,000 Marylanders each month, including over 270,000 children, with an average benefit of about $180 per customer. Now, new laws are changing who is eligible, potentially reducing or eliminating these benefits. And some of it is realistic and probably, a good thing for tightening budgets. But some people are, you're just going to have to keep up to make sure if you are, if you deserve the benefits, if you earn the benefits, if you're struggling, that you're the person actually getting the benefits. Over 80,000 Marylanders now need to report their work hours to keep their benefits. So that is something new. You've got to actually report in either online or go to your local office to take care of that. Also, all refugees, asylees, and other immigrants must, and it's in big capital letters, must have a green card to receive SNAP in Frederick. Those changes have now cost over 1,000 people right here in the city and in the county their SNAP benefits. Now, if you want to get them back, go prove you have a green card. Go prove that you're working in some way. If you need help with food, housing, utility assistance, and other essential human services in Maryland, dial 211. Simple, 211 to ask questions and to get more information. The new work requirements to get SNAP benefits state that you must work 20 hours a week by doing any of these things. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a paying job, but that is one of them. Working a job, volunteering, and again, you got to prove that you volunteered somewhere. And as a matter of fact, Health and Human Services could use volunteers downtown to help people who are struggling with food insecurities right there on All Saints Street. They'll definitely take you as a volunteer, plus many other nonprofits around the area, or participating in a job search or training program. That's basic. That makes sense that you should have to do that. You can't just sit at home and wait for the benefits to come to you. I mean, unless you're sick or physically unable, that's a different thing altogether. But if you are physically able, I was a big believer back in the days when I was in college, worked for Jack Kemp on Capitol Hill, and he was a big workfare, not welfare proponent. And I still believe in that today. You don't hear that much anymore, but it is in place here. Again, even if you don't have a job, you can help out, you can volunteer, and you can still get your benefits. Now, you can also fulfill these requirements by making at least $217.50 per week from a job. It doesn't matter how many hours you work. If you make that minimum wage in Maryland, that means you only have to work 14.5 hours a week to qualify with that $217.50 per week. Pretty simple there. Minimum wage in Maryland is $15 an hour or $3.63 plus tips. Employees under 18 can be paid 85% of the state's rate, which is $12.75 per hour. Montgomery County, there are 3 counties in the state of Maryland that have different laws, different minimum wages. Montgomery County is $15.50 up to $17.65, depending on the size of the business. So if you're a bigger business, say like a Starbucks, or you have a huge company, IBM, you're the Discovery Channel, and you're in Montgomery County, that's going to be much, much higher, up around the $17.65 per hour range for the bigger business. Howard County is $15.50 to $16 an hour, and Prince George's County is a flat $15.30 per hour. There is now legislation in Annapolis. Now, this, I'm all for a living wage, but, you got to work. You got to do what's necessary. Legislation in Annapolis that is quickly moving. It's House Bill 1229 and Senate Bill 886. It's quickly moving to require a 25 $5 an hour minimum wage for any job in the state of Maryland, eliminating the tip credit and automatically increasing with inflations. And it would also embed any of these new laws into the Maryland Constitution, making it very difficult to reverse. So whether you're for or against the higher minimum wage, if you're a small business owner, that makes it tougher for you. Maybe you have to hire less employees. Maybe you're unable to offer as many benefits. If you're a large company, that's different. If you're making multi-billions of dollar profits, I'm a capitalist just like everybody else. We should have the opportunity to make money. But if your profits are in the multi-billions of dollar range, you should, do more for your employees. There's no question about that. Okay. And of course, those people in those positions would disagree with me. But if you're a smaller business and you're trying to grow your business and the government's trying to help you, one way they can help you is make it fair so that you can compete against these bigger businesses. So if you want more information, you can look up House Bill 1229 or Senate Bill 886. Now, other states have much higher minimum wages. In this country, the highest state wage, well, I guess D.C. is not a state, but it's $17.95 an hour in D.C. is the minimum wage. Washington State is $17.13 an hour. Connecticut is $16.94 an hour. And California is $16.90 an hour. The federal minimum wage, and there are two states, Georgia, and I think the other one is Idaho. They have $5.50 minimum wage that are overturned by the federal minimum wage, which is still sitting at $7.25 an hour. A number of southern states are also still, they just follow wherever the federal government goes automatically. So if the federal government goes to $8 an hour, it will go up. But right now, there are about 15 states that are at that minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. The highest minimum wage in the nation, if you want that, move to Seattle. If you're a business in Seattle, you're probably going to leave because of it, because it's $21.30 an hour. Now, it's very expensive to live in Seattle. I've been there. Great place. I love Seattle. It has some cool museums and exhibits. As the amazing hospital at the University of Washington where I had my heart transplant. I mean, that area, and it's beautiful. The town is kept clean and nice, well, except during the takeovers during COVID. There were some crazy takeovers in parts of town where it was basically like mob rules for 3 and 4 block areas in downtown. But overall, Space Needle and all the fun stuff in Seattle, great. But if you're a small business trying to open in Seattle, you should plan ahead and have a lot more in the coffers, because the minimum wage in Seattle is $21.30 an hour. And that is why Starbucks is leaving Seattle. They're moving their corporate offices to Tennessee, because Tennessee has a lot more in benefits for new businesses opening in Tennessee, or large businesses moving to Tennessee, big, huge tax breaks for the businesses and things like that. And a number of people, at Starbucks were said, okay, you can keep your jobs, but you got to move to Tennessee. And they're like, nope, we're not going. We're all going to quit. And I think it was a number above 30% of the people that were asked to move to Tennessee that were working in Starbucks, which is where Starbucks started, right there in downtown Seattle. I've been to the one that's the very first Starbucks. It's at the big fish market. You've heard of the fish market in Seattle, right next to the Rock and Roll Cafe. It's a pretty cool place. I mean, it is. It's really a lot of fun to go there. You see the people throwing the large fish and you got to catch them and all that. It's a little messy. And musicians playing in the street, and the gum wall where people actually stick gum out of their mouth and leave it on the wall. And it's just a huge, it's a little disgusting, but kind of fun, I guess. And it's a fun place. Again, I get that. But for a small business trying to open in there, it's a struggle. And big businesses are leaving. They're leaving as much as Washington State, as much as they're leaving California. Maybe not quite as much. Maryland is one of those states that's losing a lot of people. We've talked about that in the show as well. I think it's 4th in the nation of people leaving the state to move their businesses or move their families to other places. And one of the reasons, again, is the rising minimum wage, making it harder for small businesses. Again, I believe in a living wage. I get it. But at the same time, do the work. You have to do the work. You can't just expect it to be given to you. You have to earn it. No questions about that either. So there you go. There is some more information about what's going on with the minimum wage and the SNAP benefits program, both things that are affecting people right here in our region. Again, over 1,000 people here in the city of Frederick and others in Frederick County will be losing their SNAP benefits if they don't follow those rules. And I'll say most of those rules, they're realistic. They should be in place. You shouldn't just get the benefit by sitting home and doing nothing. Again, unless you have mental or physical reason why you're not, and I don't mean I don't feel like going to work today. That doesn't count. A legitimate mental health issue or a legitimate physical issue that keeps you away from work, that is understandable. And that's what we have social programs for, to help people in those situations. But they are not there. The social program should not be there just to help people who are flat out lazy. And that's across every nationality. That is, Americans who have been in the country forever, and legal green card immigrants and illegal immigrants. If you don't follow the rules, you shouldn't get the benefits. Plain and simple. Work fair, not welfare. That's, again, a subject that hadn't been talked about much since the 80s. Then I'm a flat tax guy too. Everybody pays the same tax. It helps balance the playing field. If you are a multi-billionaire, should you be penalized? Now, of course, you find ways, loopholes, buy a yacht and say it's for your business. You find loopholes to, get tax write-offs. But here's the deal. If everybody's paying 15%, and let's make a floor on this and no ceiling. Let's make a floor on this. So if you are an individual that's making, say, $40,000 a year or less, maybe you don't pay any taxes. I know some people would raise their hackles and say, are you freaking crazy? Okay, that helps those people who are struggling at $40,000 a year or less. But everybody above that, it doesn't gradually rise from 22 to 26 to 28 to 32 to, whatever percentage it goes up to in our country. But make everybody pay 15% and take out all the loopholes. Okay? You don't get to write off that yacht. You don't get to write off that corporate airplane, Bernie Sanders, or whomever you are. You don't get those write-offs anymore. So if Bezos is paying 15%, imagine, if he's paying 15%, how much that would add to the tax coffers. Okay. Now, I'm not saying he should be paying on a sliding scale because he worked hard and he made a huge business and he makes billions of dollars a year. No, he shouldn't be paying 56% or something crazy like that. The way our tax rules slide upward, the more you make, you get to 100,000, you're paying 32% or whatever. No, everybody pays 15%. And the IRS goes away. It basically becomes a collection agency, period. So you don't have to worry about an audit. You got your W-2, you pay your 15%. You have your business, you say, this is how much we made as profit, you pay your 15%, period. Nobody's going to get away from paying no taxes. So all of the people, who complain about the rich and say, oh, well, they pay their 2%. No, everybody. I've had people who have had the argument with me that you can't balance the budget that way. Yes, you can. Because if the billionaires are also paying 15% instead of 0, that balances the tax for everybody. For everybody. Again, making, whatever that, I don't know exactly what the floor should be, whether 40 is high enough, 40,000 a year is high enough, but I'm using that as an example. And again, there should be no ceiling on this. Okay. And you can't find ways to cover it up. Again, no more write-offs. So you say, oh, well, that takes away my write-off on my house. Well, guess what? You're not paying 29% anymore. You're paying 15% in federal taxes. And then the state can set their own taxes however they want. And then you can choose to live in that state or not live in that state. So if let's say it's a state like Maryland or Washington State or California, and it's higher taxes in that state, you can choose to leave that state if you want to. But the federal tax, and DC should be a state and they should run their own stuff. That's another thing. People say, oh, DC. No, we can run the federal museums and the things that are paid for by the government, Air and Space Museum, Natural History Museum, the African American Museum, the Washington Monument, all of those things can be paid for out of the federal coffers. But you want home rule, you want your own say in government, make DC a state. Go ahead. No problem whatsoever with that either. But you got to pay your fair share, DC. Everybody pays 15% there too. No special rules because you're the District of Columbia. Make them a state. So there you go. There was a little tangent I didn't expect to go off on today, but the taxation thing got me going. Again, these are things that I've been, preaching to the wall, not to the choir. I've been preaching to the wall probably since I was 18 years old. When I was young, I was Michael J. Keaton in Family Ties. I was the guy that had jeans. I didn't wear a tie all the time, but I was going to college in jeans and a jacket, a corduroy jacket with patches on the elbows. That was the look for me. And that was kind of the attitude too. The same as Michael J. Fox in Family Ties, that kid. I was kind of that kid in college. Anyways, it's been a lot of fun doing the show. I appreciate you hanging out with me on a Thursday. So happy it's Thursday. That means the weekend is almost here. We want to thank all of our sponsors too. We've added a bunch of sponsors here over the last month or so. And, I appreciate each and every one of them being involved. And I want to make sure we give the heads up to everyone on who they are. Hoods Opal Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Service. We're working on, I'm waiting for their ads so that we can share it with you. But they are excited to be on board. They're going to be coming on the show very soon. The Pickle Park, Craig and his crew at 355 Ballinger Center Drive. Peak Performance. That's an amazing workout spot. And those guys will get you tone and buff right away. I'll go also on 355 Ballinger Center Drive, right next door to the Pickle Park. Rosati's and Hot Fired Arts, both on 7th Street, basically across the parking lot from each other. And our good friend Jerry Donald for delegate, running for the 4th District of Maryland delegate. So there you have it. Everything that's going on around the region for today, or at least all the stuff I could find. And we can come back and do this again tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, is Friday. It's Friday. Don't forget, 4 o'clock today, we've got Frederick Sports. I'll talk about the keys. An exciting extra inning victory last night. The Orioles almost gave it up. They got a win. And all the other sports, that is sports around the region. Okay? And we have some special guests coming up in the very near future as well. We're broadcasting live from Studio 401. And again, I appreciate you being part of all of it. Remember that you are, you know what? I didn't talk about this. I almost forgot. We lost Tim Curry yesterday. And I talked about Dolly Parton yesterday because she passed away after my show was done. So I didn't get a chance to talk about that until yesterday morning. And then Tim Curry, same thing. Another 80-year-old. Now, Tim Curry was sick. He was in bad shape. I'd seen some interviews the last few years. He's been in a wheelchair for a while and has been battling a number of fights, a number of battles in his life. But Tim Curry in Clue, and he did so many voiceovers in kids' movies. He was in Pirates of Penzance. He was, of course, to me, the biggest one being Dr. Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. There are 3 musicals that I never got to do as a kid. I did a bunch of musicals in high school and college. Godspell, Jesus Christ Superstar, Oklahoma, all the ones that we could do back then. But they hadn't released the 3 that I always wanted to do to the general public. So I never got to be Danny Zuko in Grease. Always wanted to. Never got to be in Mamma Mia, be the character that Pierce Brosnan played. I always wanted to play that. But again, it hadn't been released to the general public. So you couldn't do that play. And the other one, I never knew which character. One day I'd want to be Brad. Another day I want to be Dr. Frankenfurter, believe it or not, in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Never got to do it. Always got to go on the weekend midnight movies, though. That was fun. We'd go to New Carrollton or College Park, and they let us bring stuff to the theater. So we were allowed to throw toast and rice and squirt water guns in the air and carry in newspapers to cover our heads. I remember the first time I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show, I went in the back row knowing all the things that you had to watch out for, knowing that people threw stuff. And stupid me, I think I had one of those white members only jackets from the 80s. And I walk in the theater and I slink over to the back row, and there's a scene because you yell stuff in the movie. You're supposed to yell things. Like there are pauses. Like he says, I see you shiver with anticipation. And then everybody yells, say it, patient. Well, there's a scene where it's the song sings something like in the back row, and everybody turns around and says, F the back row. And they bomb the back row with whatever food or drink they're holding. And so a soda hit me directly, and it wasn't a Sprite, in my white members only jacket, and ruined it like the second day I had it. It was pretty much a bummer back in the day. But if you're from the 80s, you know what I mean when I talk about those members only jackets. Cheaply made, but that was the thing back in the day. Swatch watches and members only jackets, right? Anyways, so my hat's off to Tim Curry. He will be missed. We are working with Warehouse Cinemas to bring you our edition of the Rocky Horror Picture Show at the theater, where you'll be able to get the tickets from us, and we will make it a really fun night. From what I understand, we're going to be able to yell and sing all the songs and do all of that, but they probably will not allow us to bring the stuff into the movie theater because we'd wreck the theater. And some idiot, they did something at their Hagerstown location, Mel was telling me not too long ago, and someone threw a drink, like they had snuck in a soda or something, and they threw a drink through the screen in the middle of the movie. Not cool. So anyways, it ruins the fun for the rest of us. But Rocky Horror, stay tuned. We'll give you details on when you'll be able to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show with the Everything Frederick Live Network at Warehouse Cinemas. We love working with those guys. All right, now I get to wrap this thing up on a Thursday. Bella's back there rolling her eyes like, come on, John, get this thing over with. She's like laughing. But seriously, we got stuff to do, people to see, and we are excited to get out there. We'll be back at 4 for Frederick Sports, and we'll get you updated with everything. Now, let me do this again. Remember, you are what you watch and you listen to, and don't dream it, be it. So that's what we're going to say for losing Tim Curry yesterday. Have a great day. We'll be back at 4 with Frederick Sports. I'm John Hunt, and this has been John's House.
This episode is a proud production of the Everything Frederick Live Podcast Network. Your home for Frederick's best podcasts, streaming daily on YouTube.